What's shaking, everybody? Ross Mandell coming to you live from Delray Beach, Florida at Woolly Studios. We got a special show for you today. I have the privilege, the pleasure to introduce all of you to Caroline Ashley Desouza. Say hey.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. And the reason I put a middle name in there, you're all going to find out. Caroline recently opened a business. She's our original business is Boston. She said, I want some of that Florida sun. Boston's a pretty cool town, except in the winter. Yes. And she opened up a spa in Pompano Beach. It's more than a spa, it's more like a clinic.
Yeah.
Tell us what you offer.
So we do everything from facial treatments to body treatments. So regular facials, hydrofacials, laser treatments. We have Botox fillers, and then we also have therapy.
I love it. Tell us what kind of therapy.
And like counseling. So
okay.
If you're for mental health.
Boy, I could use a little mental health treatment myself. I'm a little wild.
Yeah, and then we also have our telemedicine.
I'm so impressed with this. I'm so impressed with her. She's an amazing woman. We met last night. Telemedicine inside the spa.
Yes.
Primarily to help the Brazilian community.
Yeah, so it's to help for people who don't have health insurance or who don't have access to health insurance. So we were able to create a platform where we have Brazilian doctors that speak their language to have access to doctors and medication. And it works 24/7. And we have over 20 specialties, so not just primary care, but also, if you need a cardiologist, a nutritionist, psychiatrist, we have it all.
Portugueso, right?
In Portuguese.
Portuguese. That's the Brazilian. I made the mistake of trying to make some Spanish conversation with a beautiful Brazilian woman once. And she looked at me like I was talking Chinese. She says, Portugueso.
Yeah.
She's yelling at me already.
Oi, tudo bem?
Just like that.
Yep.
Wow. And so, by chance, happenstance, I was asked to appear as a celebrity guest, which I do for my friend Jay Shapiro, who owns the Luxury Chamber of Commerce. And, he always reaches out to me and asks me to attend and promote, so I do because he's a friend. And we once did an event together, which was spectacular, 700 people. Mm-hmm. I spoke for 2 hours on a stage in front of friends, family, all kinds of people around town. It was in all the newspapers, etc. And I never forgot that, so I'm always very grateful. And, I show up because, as I wrote in my book, Rock Solid, there's a chapter, suit up, show up, and shut up. Okay, 90% of life happens because you show up and you dare to take a chance. You have to be willing to, you posted something, and I didn't want to, I didn't want you to think I was stalking you.
No.
Well, I was quietly stalking you. I feel like I'm being clever, but I'm a dope. And, but you posted something that just spoke to me. It's literally spoke to me. And you know that you're achieving something in life, between a man and woman, socially,
yes,
when something speaks to you. And so I wrote, I love it, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. I think you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
And I don't want to quote it because I don't want to do it dirty. It's worthy of being quoted properly, but it has to do with taking a chance in life. You have to be willing to see, because you just don't know. One of the things in business, and the guys quote me a lot, and I love it. And when I was a young man, somebody said it to me, and at first I was offended. But as I grew into becoming a real mature type of guy, I learned that you don't know what you don't know. I can't think of a more powerful phrase as human beings. The second you think you know everything, you're really fucked.
Oh, yeah.
You're really finished. I am constantly being surprised. So I get invited to this event to speak last night. I've been to the last 10 of Jay's things, spoken at all of them. Last night's the first night I didn't speak. The only thing I said was, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. This really sucks. And then Jay turned to me and says, yeah, I'm leaving too. There was a yoga studio that just opened, and I guess as a favor to this girl, Beth, who owns the studio, she's probably a member of his association, whatever it is. And it was a small little 2-by-0 little room with, I guess a yoga floor. I don't know what type of flooring. You had to take your shoes off. And there was nowhere to sit. There was no food, nothing to drink, nowhere to sit. And it was just so uncomfortable. You had people showing up in like fancy dresses, some women, and one guy shows up in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
And it's like, about 95 degrees in this place. I had a really important conference call that I had to be on. I ended up tapping into their Wi-Fi and doing it outside. And then I walked back in, and I'm looking around the room, and I just want to kill myself. What am I doing? And I look up, and I look across the room, and I'm like, who the hell is this? True story. So the first thing, I don't want to bother you, so I look down to see if you have a wedding ring on or something to that effect. And you're just sort of standing there, looking attractive. And I said, let me say hi. And then I said hi, and then look, she smiled. Look at that smile. And I was like, what? I was entranced from the first minute. I want you to know that.
Oh,
we got to speaking. She has a certain light, an aura. She gives off an energy. And, that's cool. There's a lot of attractive women in South Florida, really anywhere in the world, but in South Florida, you get a really particularly good-looking crowd, I think, better than most states, places I've been. And but then I started to speak with her, to chat with her, and I found out she owns a business. She's a legit business owner, and she came to a networking event to promote herself, to promote her business, make friends, I don't know. Yeah. So why don't you talk to us and tell us about your motivation, how you ended up at this particular spot.
Yeah, so I love being an entrepreneur. I love owning a business. I just love meeting people, networking, and it makes me feel alive.
I get that.
So
I get it.
Yeah, I just love it. I love being busy, having to call everyone, networking, and there's a saying that you just never know where a door is going to open.
Never.
So never. I take that very seriously.
Men like to say, like we would say on Wall Street, making moves.
Yeah.
We're making moves. And, you have to be willing to take that first step, put your toe in the water. I forget exactly what this quote was saying. I know it was captions. Mm-hmm. I had my phone on silent, which I've learned 90% of people scroll through social media on silent.
Yes.
That's why my guys in Las Vegas said everything you have to do has to be captioned. John, everything has to be captioned because most people scroll. So I'm scrolling, but I'm reading.
Yeah.
Sometimes the captions, are not perfect. Mm-hmm. And I was entranced by this thing. So I put the sound on. And so I'm listening to the stock market on television. I'm at bed drinking my coffee. And I'm looking at this thing and I was like, wow. I had a comment.
Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to, but I had to make a comment. And I just said, I love this.
Yeah.
Really play it back to everybody.
Yeah, no, when I heard that audio, I was like, that touched like a deep note in me. I was like, I have to make a video on that.
I loved it.
And it's true. Like, you just have to take chances in life, and you never know. There's another quote that I love, which they say, when you're afraid to jump, that's when you need to jump.
100%. This is brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know how lucky you are to witness this today, everybody, because this is real wisdom. I mean, you know what? You miss 100% of the shots that you never take.
Yeah.
100%. You know who said that? I think Michael Jordan, one of the greatest of all time, the GOAT. I mean, that's got to be your attitude in life, and you don't regret your mistakes. There's no such thing as as a mistake or a failure. It's just a lesson.
Yes, a learning experience.
These are lessons. There's teaching moments and there's learning moments. Now, I want to tap into this entrepreneurship you feel, because I've been an entrepreneur since I'm a young man. I never had a salary job in my life. I'm 67 years old, and people would say, I don't understand how much you're getting paid. I said, nothing. I said, what do you mean nothing? I said, I'm a commissioned salesman. And they said, why don't you get, well, how do you live? Mm-hmm. And I say, when I went down to Wall Street, they said, look, you eat what you kill. You don't kill, you don't eat. Okay, that's very dramatic. What does that mean? You know what I mean? They said, listen, you write a ticket, you get paid. And quickly in life, I learned I never want some guy, some man or some woman over me telling me how much I can make. What? That never made any sense to me. Not since I'm a little kid. You know, when my father would say, I want you to do this chore, I said, Dad, you get an allowance? He said, negotiate my allowance. I don't understand how a man or a woman would want to be told by somebody, this is what you're going to make. Like, well, what if I want to buy a car?
Yeah.
What if I want to buy a Mercedes? Well, what I'm going to ask you, listen, I know you're my boss, you pay me $1,000 a week, but I want to buy a Mercedes. Can you put on the company? I mean, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
So, the harder I worked, the luckier I got. That's the bottom line. When nobody's paying you, you figure out how to make deals, close deals. You work harder. When I wanted something, when I wanted to buy an apartment in Trump Tower, I mean, I did a deal. I made $500,000, and I wired it into the escrow account, and boom, I had my deposit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, why would I want some guy?
It's because you're out of your comfort zone.
Oh, I live out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. So I feel like that when people don't have that entrepreneurship in them, basically you're selling your time on earth.
Safety. So
yeah.
So when I was married, my wife's family were very like traditional Italians, and they were salary type people, and they bought into this sort of American mindset of you work 30, 40 years, you get for a company, you get a salary. One sister was a nurse, one brother worked at J.P. Morgan, and they all did very well. They were employees. They moved up the ladder. They lived, meagerly, within reason, but, saving, investing, etc. Then you had the one unconventional sister who made moves.
The black sheep.
She was the black sheep. This was Aunt Lori, how are you? Aunt Lori today is a millionaire. She married a rich guy. After her second marriage, and they buy and sell and build homes. And they've done incredibly well, and she has a sort of big lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the youngest sister, my wife, Beauty, she went down to Wall Street to find a guy. She found me, and she's lived a very privileged and wonderful life.
Yes.
And it's a mindset. It's a mindset. And, I'm doing a mastermind courses that we're offering my services right now. People are paying me $5,000, and they're getting my time. And I have two young men right now I'm mentoring, and a woman that is now wants to sign up. And I'm talking to them, and I'm explaining to them it's 95% mindset. It's 5% strategy. Everybody walks around in the world thinking it's 95% strategy. They're going to work here, and they're going to do this, and it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Mindset. When I was a young broker, I sort of hit a wall. I'm making $40,000 a month. You think that's good money, right? This is 1985. No matter how hard I worked, I came in Saturdays, I came in Sundays, I couldn't. I did 42,000, 45. This guy's making 100,000 a month, and I'm stuck at 40,000, 45,000. What I did learn eventually was my manager, the guy that was the head of my sort of my floor, more than 100 brokers. The most he ever did was about 500,000 a year. And I was stuck right around 480,000, 500,000, which you think is a good income for a young man. And I was frustrated. And then I went on job interviews. I was a very sort of hot young prospect. I was really outgoing sort of broker. I was very social, this and that, young, energetic. And I met a guy who was multi-millionaire. He's on the Forbes billionaire list. He's like in the top 30. And he said to me, listen, you come work for me, you'll be making millions. And I'm looking at him, I said, I don't understand. He goes, exactly, you don't understand. And I had all these other interviews, and everybody was offering me 300 grand up front, 500 grand up front. This guy looked at my business, my money line, and said, first year you make $1.5 million.
Wow.
And he was offering me nothing up front. But I had a feeling. And I'll never forget, I walked away from a check from Bear Stearns for several $100,000, $300,000-400,000, I don't even remember. And I went to work for Morty Davis and D.H. Blair, 44 Wall Street, what's shaking everybody, one of the most powerful boardrooms in the history of Wall Street. And the manager gave me a book called The Magic of Thinking Big by David M. Schwartz. I urge you to read it. I urge all of you to read it, especially if you're sort of stuck and you really want to just go to another level. And it was written in 1930, 31, something to that effect, David M. Schwartz. And I read that book, and I got pneumonia.
Yeah.
And I was home, and I missed 16 days or 15 days of the month. So on Wall Street, you only get paid the days the market's open. You can't trade when the market's closed. It's open an average of 20 days a month. And I went in after having viral pneumonia. I lost like 25 pounds. I was a skinny, wiry type of dude. And in 4 days, I did 102,000.
Wow.
I never earned less than 100,000 a month since. And of course, I own my own firm, and at a hedge fund, I did a lot more than that. But I learned it was a mindset. And so I'm speaking to a guy, Nick Horton, what's shaking, baby? He says, we're getting into his business, and he says he eked out 10 grand in July. He eked out 10 grand. Okay, I learned about his business. I know what it is. So our second call was on Monday, and we had a real man-to-man discussion, a really man-to-boy discussion, I like to think, whatever. And so on Friday morning, 4 days later, first week of August, he said, bro, you're not going to believe it. I said, tell me. He goes, I made 10 grand this week.
Wow.
And I still have all day Friday. I said, good boy. And then that was Friday. He had to make 2 grand that day, whatever. Monday morning, we got on the phone again. And I said, you got to be, I'm a pain now to you. You got a challenge. He said, what do you mean? I said, you're doing 10 grand this week. You're doing 10 grand. That's your new floor. It's not a ceiling anymore. It's a floor. I don't want you to breathe, shit, piss, go home, talk to the wife and kids till you get your 10 grand in. I met him again on Friday. How you do? So I made 10 grand.
Wow.
12, I think. And this was past Friday. And I said, that's your floor. Don't even think you're going to talk to me and tell me you're doing that. I don't care what it takes. And then I spoke to him. That was 2 weeks in a row. So in this past Monday, I spoke. Before we got on the phone at 9 o'clock Monday morning, he had already made $2,300 because he's got a new mindset.
Yeah. You got him out of his comfort zone.
He's got a new mindset. Mm-hmm. Don't give me this 10 grand for the month. What? Yeah. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. I mean, that's, I'm sorry, everybody, but I know it sounds a little extraneous and harassing, but this is the way you have to think.
Yeah.
If you want to go forward in this world, it's a tough fucking world. It's full of scumbags, liars, cheats, the whole 9 yards. You know, you got to get real and you got to get serious. So tell me, you're in Boston. You didn't always own the spa.
No.
How did that happen? Tell us all the truth. We want to know if you got married, if you got divorced, if you slept with a prince. I mean, you all want to know what the story is.
So it's funny how I got into like having a spa. It wasn't something that I actually planned. It's something that just kind of happened. I was married. I was married for 7 years. I got married pretty young. I was 18 when I got married.
Wow.
Yeah. And then while I was married, my ex-husband's brother was coming from Brazil with his wife, and she had a salon in Brazil. And she wanted to open a business. And I was already working in the finance world. I used to
Boston?
in Westboro, Massachusetts. And I was already in it for like around 4 or 5 years when that happened. And she told me she wanted to open, but she didn't know how to open a business. So like, I'm going to find a way to help you, because I did something that's really strong in me. I love helping people who are around me, people that I care for. So I was like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to look into it. And I've always known that I've wanted to own a business, but I just didn't know what.
I love it.
So I started looking into it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go after the licenses. I'll do it. So I started going after the licenses.
What? Explain the licenses, because I don't know.
So like cosmetologist, aesthetics license, and all that. I had to go to school for that.
Really?
Yeah, so I went to school, but then
what kind of school is it?
So
is it cosmetology school?
Yeah,
really?
Like cosmetology school, yeah.
So they have a school, and it's not like you go to college and you take
No, so it's like a technical school.
I love it.
Yeah. In Brazil, it's a college. Here, it's different.
Okay, but still, you have to be licensed. So
yeah, you have to have a state license to be able to work.
Is it a state license in Massachusetts different than the state license in Florida?
So there's different hour requirements.
Love it.
In Massachusetts, it's more hours than here.
Okay, so we're learning, everybody. Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah, so I did all of that, went through it, and I kind of fell in love with it. So I offered her, I was like, I'll open the business with you. You do what you know how to do, hair, and I'll do this other part. So
it started out you just helping your sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you sort of fell into it like that.
Fell into it, and I really liked it, and I found what I wanted to do. So we started the business in Milford.
Okay.
I stayed there for some time, but then I ended up getting divorced. Happens, it's life.
Listen, it happens. What are you going to tell you?
But so then I ended that partnership with her, because it was we were mixing family and business, and that doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, so I took a break for 2 years, and I was like, I'm going to open another business, something else. I don't want to do the spa thing anymore.
Okay.
So I started looking to open a clothing store. But while I was in that process, that little voice inside came and was like, no.
It's, thank God, bad business.
Yeah.
Get it to that.
Yeah, and I heard that voice like, no, you need to go back to the spa. And I was like, I don't know. But then I did, and I opened during COVID.
That's bad, right?
It was bad, but not bad because it worked.
Right, but did they let you in Boston? I mean, they closed some businesses, I know, in a lot of states.
Yeah, so I opened like near the end. So everything was starting to open.
So you hit it, and women wanted to go back.
Wanted to go back.
I missed that. My hair, my eyebrows, my nails.
They wanted to be in.
You know.
Yeah,
what the hell?
So I started through right at the end of the pandemic, and then it's been 3 years. And then last year was when I started to feel like I wanted to expand.
So tell us, where are you located in Massachusetts?
Marlborough, Massachusetts.
Marlborough.
Yes.
You say, what do you call it, Marlborough?
Marlborough.
You know, everybody's got a different way of saying it. I'm the worst. So, and it's called Ashley Aesthetics.
Ashley's Aesthetics Clinic.
You hear that, guys in Boston? What? I mean, come on. Now, who's actually running the business while you're here frolicking in South Florida?
So I have employees up there that they work and they run the business for me while I'm not there. But I go back once a month for me to see my clients, because I have clients that they want to be seen by me.
I would insist. I would. I went to a place here, you know, my wife used to buzz my back and my body. Even though I'm very, I don't have a lot of hair, and light hair. I don't want any hair. And so she used to buzz. She still, you know, my ex-wife still does it for me. And but one day she said, you know, it's about time. You know, you grow up. You don't need me. And I was like, she goes, I want you to go to the place where you get a haircut. I used to go to a salon. My haircutter, you know, I followed him. And there was a woman that does waxing. And I don't know, I'm not, the idea of putting hot wax on my body and then yanking it off to extract my hair is, I just feel like that's a little weird.
Yeah.
And, but so I go get a haircut. Isaac, what's shaking, baby? Isaac at Peter's Place, Abu Hazira. He's a serious guy, especially for you women. He does amazing women's hair, color, etc.
From here?
Yeah. Well, he's actually an Israeli guy, but he's a big name haircutter down here. He used to do my hair. And he goes, you know, we have this beautiful, you know, salon girl. She's just doing waxings. And she's very experienced. Gives me this whole sales pitch. And I'm like, I don't know. And she comes, he goes, let me bring her out here. He brings her out. I'm in the chair. I got the apron on, whatever. Just did a haircut. And he brings out this very gorgeous Russian woman.
Okay.
A girl. And she looks like she could be a model for friggin', you know, she could be on the cover of Vogue. It's very attractive. And they pitched me to get waxed, so I'm a sucker because, you know, and so I go in the room and I take off my shirt, whatever I did, and she's just gonna wax my back. And I'm like, ah! It hurt. I couldn't believe how much it hurt. What I didn't know, I was her first customer.
Oh.
I swear to God, true story. And I'm bleeding. So when I left, I was very uncomfortable. It was terrible. I used to wear tight shirts because I had big muscles and no fat. And I put on my T-shirt, and I go back home, and I walk in, and my daughter goes, Daddy, you're bleeding. And all through my back was bleeding. I'm like, so I said to my wife, I said, is this supposed to be like this? And she goes, no.
Pinpoint bleeding, if it's your first time, it's normal.
But it was, listen to you, see? Who knew? And it was crazy. My whole back was red. And so I went into the pool. You know, we have a beautiful outdoor pool and all these different things, waterfall. And I was like, wow, burned. I said, forget it. I'm going back to buzzing. I really, you know, I know you probably do waxing and the women love this kind of thing. I think laser is the way to go.
I do too.
Tell us about laser treatments.
So laser hair removal is just more cost effective.
It's like a miracle.
Yeah. Over time, you know, you're not going to have that hair growing anymore. You don't have to keep spending time and you don't have to keep having the hair to grow for you to go get waxed.
Right.
You know,
right. You got to grow it in so it's long enough.
It's just faster. 30 minutes, you're done.
My ex had her whole thing done.
Yeah.
And it's more than 20 years. And from what I heard, it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Thank God for technology.
Technology's amazing, right?
Yeah.
This podcasting, you know, 20 years ago, there was really no podcasting. Really, it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
You know, social media, the internet. I'm just amazed at the flow of technology. As a young stockbroker, I was called in and we had Blockbuster Video. And the billionaires came in, you know, and Starbucks coffee. Guy comes in and says, I'm selling coffee, $5 a cup. I just bought a cup on the street for 50 cents. He goes, one day you'd be lines outside my store right down on Wall Street. Today, there's a Starbucks on Wall Street, and you go in, you can't even get in.
Wow.
There's a line of 50 people outside, and you can't get a seat inside. And, you know, I go to the Starbucks drive-thru here in Delray. I have a dry cleaner. I drop it off. I love it. Valet service. I never get out of the car. I'm still on the phone. I'm doing my thing. They take my stuff. Everything's charged with the card. Then I go around to get out. I pass right through the Starbucks. They get my little caramel frappuccino, you know, crumb. With extra crumb. And, you know, the technology of everything is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, I did 9 years in prison, and they still have an email system from the year one.
Wow.
It's just pathetic, and there's just no money spent on technology or given to the benefit of the inmates. So I was locked up with guys that never went on the internet.
Wow.
Never saw a cell phone except in prison. You know, not allowed to have them. In the black market, they saw them. But guys locked in 30, 40 years, never been on Google, never been on Facebook. What?
That's crazy.
Is it crazy? I mean, it's like you're talking to some of these guys who are like, what are you talking about? You know,
It's like, what world are you living in?
A bad world. It's a bad world. So, you know, God has a way of allowing, bringing your fears, your worst fears into your life so that you can face them and realize, ain't so bad.
Yeah.
Part of my journey. The anxiety of going to prison was much worse than actually being in a prison. And, you know, I learned a lot about these things, and somehow God, like, he just said, no more fear for you, Mr. Mandell. They did away with all my fears, whatever little I had. You know, see you later. But, so now you're in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Where did you meet your husband, if you don't mind me asking?
My husband, I met him in Milford through mutual friends.
Brazilian friends?
Yeah.
Like the Brazilian crowds, right?
Yes.
Now, so you get divorced, you're in business with your sister,
Yeah.
you start your own business, and now that's your business?
Yes.
And what legal entity did you wrap your business in, if I can ask?
I did an LLC
Which state?
here in South Florida.
A Florida LLC?
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you all know, I teach business, I teach entrepreneurship. We're launching the wealth formula like right now. The landing page is linked to my bio, is the right language. And this is what I teach. The best, smartest legal entities, the proper jurisdictions to get the best benefit for the business and for you personally, onshore and offshore, trust, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, master limited partnership. We go through every detail, what it takes to go from an idea, small business, to a really big business.
Yeah.
I've done it, you know, hundreds of times. I've done it for myself, my family. I've done it for strangers. Now I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to teach you all the tricks of the trade. You know, we say never incorporate in Delaware. Elon Musk now says never incorporate in Delaware. This is 5 months after I published this. A Delaware judge threw out his $56 billion pay package because she thought it was excessive.
Wow.
A judge sitting in Delaware Chancery Court makes less than $200,000 a year. A lawyer never in business. He had a pay package approved by every shareholder and the board of directors, and he had every milestone since founding Tesla, and they granted him this pay package. But some judge, some shareholder, by the way, who had 100 shares, sued, saying it was excessive. I had said never incorporate in the state of Delaware, not if you're a founder, you're a CEO, you're a board member. 5 months before this happened. It was all over Twitter. Elon Musk says never incorporate in the state of Delaware. He moved SpaceX and Tesla to Nevada, which I recommend, and I recommend in my course, or Texas, where now is the home of SpaceX, etc. So, you know, he ended up getting his money one way or another, but it cost him tens of millions of dollars.
Wow.
When for $297, he could have bought the wealth formula. So it's the craziest thing. It's a 108-page text, and it's got 250 hyperlinks. We have downloadable PDFs, worksheets, and then 13 very carefully produced and crafted modules. Because, you know, learning real stuff, it could be dry.
Yeah.
Even somebody like yourself or myself who's hungry for knowledge, really want to move forward in life and get more. And we try and make it as entertaining as possible. Filmed right here in this studio and edited by the great Johnny D himself. Produced by Bill Hornick and Scott Woolley, starring moi. I mean, how could you go wrong?
There's no way to go wrong.
It's really an incredible program. Shout out to my man Brad Lee, my partner out in Las Vegas, Lightspeed VT, and Angie Castro, what's shaking, baby, my Puerto Rican project manager. I mean, we have Brazilians, we have Sicilians, we have Hungarian, Russian, Jew. I mean, we're really showing this is the band of inclusion. We include everybody, good, bad, and ugly. Not so much ugly. Just so you know. I'm really shallow that way. I'm just playing, everybody. So now you're in Boston. You're divorced. You have this spa clinic, yes, which by the way I think is so brilliant. She offers telemedicine in the Brazilian language of Portuguese. Brazilian doctors that speak 24/7 availability. Imagine you're in this country from Brazil and you only know a few people. You don't have medical insurance. You're hustling, trying to make some money. It can be a brutal experience for the best of immigrants. And all of a sudden now you have a place to go and meet, like-minded people that speak your language, understand your culture, your customs,
Yes.
etc. Correct?
Yes.
They're friendly, hospitable, they're welcoming, and they say, look, we'll work with you. We're going to provide you this, we're going to provide you that. You look pretty, you leave clean, you have great eyebrows, and now you have medical service for
Yes.
your family, yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And the Brazilians are very, very family-oriented.
Very.
It's what I love about the culture. It's, when you're in, you're in. I had a lot of experience managing and befriending fighters
Yes.
in MMA. I used to train. I trained for 6 years, pretty much 3-4 days a week. Became pretty good at fighting and all that. And, I was sort of welcomed by this community of Brazilians.
They're very welcoming.
It was really wonderful. You don't see that. You don't see that as much in America. But the Brazilians, I once said, I said to a young lady, you don't know this guy, do you? Because it was from a different city. And she goes, of course I know. She goes, every Brazilian knows. Like every Brazilian in South Florida knows every other Brazilian, especially one that's known, like a fighter or a well-known personality. They all know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool,
Yes, it's a very supportive community, very close together.
Yep.
Try to help each other grow. Especially, I'm just now here in South Florida, and I've now seeing the community here, which is pretty big. I was kind of surprised. But Massachusetts, it's just, I feel like half of the state is Brazilian.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Like Framingham.
I know Framingham.
That's all Brazilian.
Is it really?
Most of the city is Brazilian.
I used to go there and do business there.
Yeah.
Framingham, Braintree, Milton, Newton.
Newton, yeah.
Yeah, I used to go there. There's another town I can't think of.
Yeah.
I used to do business there when I was a kid, in my 20s. And it was like, I love Boston. I had so much fun there.
It's a great town. The thing for me is just the winter. It's too harsh.
It's ridiculous.
Harsh.
What? I was snowed in there once for 4 or 5 days. I hung out with a very famous, James Brown, the wild musician. Well, we had a cocaine-fueled weekend in Framingham, Massachusetts, I think it was.
Okay.
I was snowed in there. And I had a lot of adventures over there. I really love it. And Scott Woolley, who and Tiffany, whose business we're in right now, they generously contributed the studio to Raw Media so I can do my thing. And she went to Boston. He is a big Boston guy. He celebrated in the dugout when the Boston Red Sox won the first World Series in like 100 years. And he's got all kinds of pictures and stuff. World Series, the celebration party was at his house. His house is magnificent. And all right, so now you're in Boston.
Yes.
You're an accomplished girl. You're unmarried.
Unmarried.
And you decide you want to come and tackle South Florida.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It's always been a dream of mine to live on the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah, and last year was when I really reflected on it. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm here. I love Boston. I'm very grateful for everything that I've accomplished and lived there. And I love it. It's my little hometown now. I consider it.
Get it.
But I was like, why can I not accomplish one of my dreams a childhood dream?
I love it.
And what's holding me back? So I really reflected on it. I was like, I don't have kids yet. I'm not married. Why am I not doing it?
It's all mindset.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start looking into it. And when I did, everything just started flowing, So It's been 2 months.
How did you end up in Pompano?
So, funny story. I wasn't looking in Pompano. I was looking to open in Fort Lauderdale around Central Beach.
Okay.
But I wasn't really finding the place that I wanted. I'm very intuitive with my gut feeling. And the places that I was looking at just wasn't quite right, didn't really like it. So then one of the landlords where I was looking at, he called me and he's like, Caroline, explain to me, what are you trying to open? What's the business? So I explained to him that it was a spa that would do facials and all this. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I think I have a place for you, but it's not in Fort Lauderdale, but I think it's a turning point for you. And I was like, okay. I was like, what am I going to do in Pompano, though? Like, I haven't been in Pompano in years.
I understand.
So I was like, but you know what? Let's go check it out. Doesn't hurt.
It's a couple hours of your life.
Yeah. So I went out, and when I stepped inside, I just heard that little voice again. It's here.
I call that the God event, the God voice. You know, it happens to me from time to time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, you know, I believe that, I studied scripture when I was inside.
Okay.
I had a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And I read every book that was available to me, including the first 8 books of the Zohar.
Okay.
I studied Kabbalah and the Talmud and the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran. I read cover to cover. I read Hindi stuff and all these different things. And one of the things that struck me from the Kabbalah, they say God brings you choices.
Yes.
Every day. Every living thing gets a choice of some type every day. One road leads to a blessing. One road leads to a judgment.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's written in Aramaic and Hebrew and then translated to English. So I'm starting to be a stickler with all this stuff. What do you mean by a judgment?
Yes.
So to me, it's a blessing or a curse, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
but they use the word judgment for a reason. And that was in the first book. Each book, mind you, is 1,100 pages of Aramaic, 1,100 pages of Hebrew, 11 pages of English. Yeah. In the 7th or 8th book, I forget, you learn that there are no judgments, only lessons.
And consequences.
But there are blessings.
Yes.
And there are lessons. Yes, lessons generally consist of consequences.
Yeah.
Well, we always attach a negative to pain.
Yes.
We attach a negative to suffering. We attach a negative to all these things. One thing I've learned, and I counsel people that are less experienced, less seasoned than I am, or younger. I mean, but it could be any of the three. Sometimes there be guys that are older than me that just don't get things. And I'm like, look, any experience is a positive. It's how you react.
How you react.
We can't control. I used to think I was a very wealthy, very powerful guy. United States Senate. I used to dine in the United States Senate once a month. I had a 3-term senator sitting on my boards, and congressmen, members of the cabinet. If you watch the American Greed show, they list like 8 guys. Forbes magazine did a big article on me. It says Ross Mandell is back with a flair, courting politicians and selling stock, something like that. Or buying politicians and selling stock. And I was buying politicians. And so were a lot of people, by the way. But to make a long story short, every experience I've had, I have no bitterness. You met my friend Stevie last night. Stevie says to me, you're amazing. I said, what do you mean? He knows me 40 years. I said, what do you mean? He says, you're just not bitter. You're just not a bitter guy. You don't have regrets. And, I understand his words.
Yes.
I understand the words he's saying. I'm not stupid, I'm intelligent to a degree. I'm not the smartest pencil in the drawer, but I'm not the dullest either. But I don't really understand it. I understand it, but I don't understand it. Because I'm just not a bitter person. Now, when I was young, when I was 16, my father dropped dead unexpectedly. I was angry. I was bitter. I was nasty, and I just became like a very, whatever I wanted to do, whoever I wanted to do it with. I used men, women, money, things. I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I went up for a 17-year run. I was really angry. I don't really know why or what. My father died. It happens. You know, my brother got over it. You know, he became a famous journalist. He's like the Larry King of Israel right now. But I was just angry, and I found my way to Wall Street as a young man because I had to fuel my lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not cheap to be a drug addict and alcoholic in Manhattan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went out every night to a hottest places, the best cars, the best scenes, all that. And I needed money. I learned how to get money.
Yes.
And, but I'm not, that was my bitter period maybe.
It was, I guess everyone copes with death differently. And
Loss.
With loss.
Like divorce, right?
Yeah. So some people can externalize it and kind of move on from right there, but some people internalize it.
They get stuck.
And that's the problem when you internalize
Interesting.
it. Because when you internalize it, you're not putting that emotion out. So you're going to find a way to try to get that anger out. So you found it in drugs and alcohol.
Driving cars, smashing cars, and fighting. I love fighting and all that.
So it's
physical.
That's why it's important to always
express yourself.
Express yourself.
I guess that communication is really great.
Yeah.
So now you with this real estate guy, you give Pompano a shot.
Yes.
And you walk into our place, you say, this is it. It just fits.
Yeah.
Right? I've been like that with homes. You know, I walked into a home and like, you know, wait, we got to see 8 more. I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, this is it.
I have a thing, it's funny, my mom says, she's like, you're gifted. I have a thing where it's like a vision. Like I walk in somewhere and I just have I see it. Yeah. So, and when I have that, it's like, I have to do it.
I believe in spirits. I believe in transcendence. I believe in, you know, the 9 worlds, reincarnation. I believe in all these different things.
Yes.
I really do. And I'm well versed
in the end, it's all connected.
They are. It is.
Yes.
And some people have energy. You can actually feel the energy. And some people suck the energy out of you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are people, I've had friends, and after I spend a few hours, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Even a phone call sometimes, I'm like someone said, what's with you? I said, I'm dead. This guy just sucked the life out of me. Yeah. And then you have people that are just so additive that they're ascendant. You get into their orbit and everything gets better and things evolve and all of a sudden things happen and all that. And those are the people that I choose to associate with.
Yes.
And, you know, I think half of that is having to be receptive. We're all connected.
Yes.
One way, shape, or another. You know, physics proved that.
Yes.
Chemistry proves that. Biology proves that, you know. And so, you know, I'm very attracted to energy, and I feel the need to express my own energy because, you know, at this point in my life, I want to give, I want to help people. I want to affect the trajectory of people's lives.
Yes.
I've learned so much. I was always a guy when one of my knucklehead friends came up with an idea. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm in. You know, I can be pitched. Let's go to Vegas. Yeah. Let's go to France. Let's go here. Let's go there. You know, and I was always ready for an adventure and all that kind of thing. And I've learned so much along the way. You know, I've made so many mistakes. I have so many lessons learned. You know, I once had a girlfriend, she says, you know, you're a hard learner. I don't want to say you're a shitty teacher, but that's how I felt. But she says, you're a hard learner. I don't even know what that means. But you know what? I have a high threshold, a high tolerance to pain.
Yeah. Physically,
emotionally. People think I'm like rough and I'm you know, out there a little bit in some ways. I am it to some extent, but that's because the life I've lived, I'm a product of the experience. The kind of story you tell, I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
Forget the fact that you're beautiful and all these things. You know, you have obvious gifts, but you know the sort of adventure, your ability to say, "Hey, I'm going. Fuck it, I'm going for it."
I can say the same about myself. I have a high pain tolerance, and I like challenging myself. So, like when I moved to Brazil sometime when I was like 15.
Right.
Because my father was deported from the U.S.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
What a story.
yeah. So I had to go to Brazil.
Well, you didn't have to, did you? Or you had to? You're
I-
still a minor, right?
I was a minor, so I didn't want to live with other people since my parents had to leave the country.
What a story. I knew there was more to it.
Yeah,
Excited.
we lost everything. Yeah, but they had a business
I
down
understand.
in Atlanta, and we had a house, everything. We lost everything. We had to go to Brazil, but I only stayed for 2 years there. And
Where was it? Where were you?
Belo Horizonte,
It's easy for you to say.
Minas Gerais. Yeah, but I didn't want to stay, so I decided to come back 2 years later, and I came back when I was like 17 on my own, into the wilderness.
On your own?
On my own, yeah.
And who'd you know?
So I stayed with a few of my parents' friends
Right.
down in Atlanta, but I only stayed there for around 6 months, and then I decided to go to Boston, and that's when everything started.
And you knew someone in Boston?
My dad's cousin. I went to go visit her.
And that's how you met your husband?
And that's how I met my husband.
Okay, very nice. Now, let me ask you, you mentioned to me you had a sister,
Yes.
and you said it in a way that aroused my attention.
Yes.
Tell us about your sister.
My
Older, younger?
She's younger. She's 21, and she's in the United States Army.
I love that.
She's in sergeant school right now. She's finishing up the end of the month for sergeant
What's her
school.
name?
Stephanie.
No, Stephanie?
Yeah.
With a PH?
Yeah.
Was it my ex-wife, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Hey, a shout out to Stephanie Desouza,
Yeah.
Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, Master
yes,
Sergeant.
Sergeant.
What? Thank you for your service, babe. Thank you. You
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, she's been in the Army for like 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, her and her husband. She met her husband in the Army as well.
Military family. That's
Yes,
beautiful.
and they're out in Fort Campbell, Tennessee.
In Tennessee right now.
Yeah.
I'm mentoring a guy. He's right outside in Knoxville. He's in a place called Maryville, Tennessee. Tristan, what's shaking, my man? And that's a beautiful story. Does she look like you?
She does. Yeah, we kind of look alike.
Beautiful girl. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very beautiful
She
woman,
has
really.
She has my nephew, 2 years old.
What's his name?
Israel.
Israel. I mean, this woman is blowing me away. Yo, Israel, what's shaking, buddy? That's a big name to live up to, my man.
It is.
Israel Desouza?
Israel Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Love it. She married a Jackson.
Yeah.
That's so great. That's a name.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. And so that's where Tennessee comes into the picture.
That's where Tennessee. I'm always up there. I go once a month to see my family.
And where do you go, actually? Like, where do they live?
They live in Clarksville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to check with my kid in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He'll advise me as to where everything is. That's great. Is that anywhere near Nashville?
So Clarksville is like 25 minutes from Nashville. So it's close. So
Nothing.
Every day I'm telling my sister, like, let's go to Nashville. Let's go on Broadway. Let's go do something.
It's so cool.
It's so much fun down there. I love it.
That's wild. So
Yeah.
now, where are we in Pompano?
We're on Atlantic Boulevard. East
Atlantic Boulevard, really?
Yeah.
So I go back and forth to Miami.
Yes.
So when I got out of prison, I kept an apartment in Boca Raton.
Mm-hmm.
And they allowed me to do my home confinement. That's how I got released early. So I got to go to home confinement because I had a legal address and it
Yes.
passed inspection. You know, there's no, it's not a crack house. It's a nice apartment. And I have a car. And so they released me, but my halfway house was in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to Miami, drive to Miami 5-6 times a month to get drug tested and to check in and to do all these things. So I was on a home confinement for a year like that. And so I finished my home confinement, and I met a couple of gentlemen, some whom we met last night, and they were helping me launch rossmandell.com because I was a big name at one time. I was very recognizable. I was in all the media, the newspapers, television. I've been in, I don't know, they tell me over 100 newspapers in 130 countries and 40 languages. My name is, I have what you call a lot of organic seeds out there that have been meta-tagged and all these things. And people recognize me. They've done some TV shows and all that. And, you know, it's just an interesting thing. You know, I'm going to digress for a second. Hearing your story and watching, now I get a chance we all get a chance to tune in and watch the evolution of this beautiful young woman in her sort of entrepreneurship and personal journey. You see, something that I've learned when I was on Wall Street all those years before I went inside, the one thing they teach you when you go in, any publicity is bad publicity.
Yes.
We have a racket. We have a real game here. You got a chance. You're on the inside. You got a chance to make millions and millions of dollars. And my story's out there, I know. Yes. Unfortunately, because of the kind of character I was, a little out of control, a little wild, I drew a lot of attention. And the newspapers got a hold of me, and once they got a hold of my name, they didn't want to let go of me and my story. And that cast a very negative light on me because, people are very jealous. People are haters. And so all my life I shied away from the media, and I failed at it terribly because they told me that, freedom of the press, and when we put you in the newspaper, we sell more copies. That's literally what they told me.
Wow.
And all right, nothing I could do. And then the world seems to take an iconic shift somewhere when Facebook took over from MySpace as like the platform, and everybody was friending everybody. And people started spending all day on social media, and everybody wanted to know everybody's relationship status. And everybody wanted to know who your friends were.
Yeah.
And who has so many friends. And then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to see pictures. Mm-hmm. And you saw the evolution of Instagram.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't enough to see pictures. People wanted to see video. So you had, Snapchat, TikTok. And so now, as a entrepreneur myself, as what you call someone that's had good vision, I'm a trader. I see value faster and better than most. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. I don't even know how to explain it. And I said, I'm watching all these, I'm sorry to say it like this, these nobodies, these people that have never really accomplished anything in the real world, becoming wealthy and becoming famous.
Yes.
Guys in their 20s and 30s literally making 100 million plus a year, or building a net worth into the hundreds of millions. And I was never a nobody. I was very accomplished at what I do. I'm still very good at it, and talented. And so quickly a group of men that are sort of like-minded saw, after I laid it out for them, this sort of common vision. And so, we were chatting before we went on air about her Instagram profile. It's Caroline Ashley.
Yes.
With 2 Y's.
Yes.
I urge you guys to check it out because it's almost seductive. It's really clever. It's thoughtful, and it's going to appeal to serious people, serious men and women. And that's clearly the way to go. People want to know. They want to know Caroline Ashley's story.
Yes.
They want to know. They want to check out your spa.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that everyone has a story.
There's no question.
And the importance for you to pass on your story. That's the whole reason why we're here. It's purpose. Prosperity isn't just money, it's purpose.
100%.
Yeah, so I found that once I embraced my story, and I was like, I went through a lot. I went through a lot on my own. At a very young age, I was forced to become an adult when everyone was still in high school thinking.
Correct. 15 and going.
Yeah. I had to not think about that and think about life in general and what I wanted to do and make big decisions at a very young age. So once I embraced that, and I found that, especially in my job, I meet tons of people that sit to get a facial done.
Yeah.
And I end up becoming their therapist because people have
100%.
they come, they want to talk, and then they start opening up about problems. And what I've noticed is that I believe that everything is aligned, and everyone that comes to me is because they have to come to me.
It's supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen. And I noticed that a lot of stories of especially women that were going through the same things that I've been through, but they didn't know what to do. So that's when I started noticing this pattern. I was like, hold on, this isn't just coming to me because coincidence.
No such thing.
It's because I have to help these people. So that's when I decided, to work on my Instagram and start telling my story and what I went through so that I can help other people that are going through the situation, don't know what to do, and for them to know that this is the way for you to go.
I just want you guys to know she's a serious young woman. I mean, even when we were flirting last night, all the men were flirting with her, and we were asking about her business. It's a spa. When you talk about a spa, she always puts in, we offer mental health services. Mental health services.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of a spa, you think of a massage. Men think of bad things. And I think of eyebrows and, facials,
Yeah.
mani-pedis, and all that good stuff. And she puts in, we offer telemedicine and mental health.
Well, I believe that beauty starts on the inside.
It absolutely does.
Then it radiates out.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, especially with aesthetics, medical spas, it's very vanity filled. So people just want to look on the outside, but people are destroyed inside. And if it doesn't matter if you could spend thousands of dollars for you to look good, but if you're not good on the inside, that's just money that you threw away because you're never going to be satisfied.
In all the 12-step programs that treat alcoholism, addiction, food disorders, all the different things, sex disorders, all that, they talk about recovery. I love that word, recovery.
Yeah.
It means there's an issue.
Yes.
Recovery is an inside job. And once you start healing the insides,
yes,
the outsides begin to also heal. And it's an amazing thing when you watch this and you see the light go on in people's eyes.
Yes.
And you see all of a sudden they're losing weight. They're going to the gym. They're taking Ozempic. They're losing weight. All the different things that people do to sort of improve their outsides, but it's an inside job. Mm-hmm. Because if you're a mess on the inside, the outsides really don't matter.
It just reflects what's on the inside.
Ultimately, it always will.
Yes.
It's really great. So she's here in South Florida.
Yeah.
You're making a home here? Is that the plan? Or are you going to just, because I know you said you go to Boston once a month, you go to Tennessee once a month.
Yeah.
Are you setting down any kind of roots yet? Or
I'm looking to set down roots.
You thinking about it?
Yes. Okay. My plan is to be down here. I want to be with the view.
I don't blame you. When I was, after I got married, I got married. My gift to my wife was she wanted a home because I had my bachelor pad in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. I was 41 when I got married.
Okay.
And the idea was we were going to start a family. She was 25. Mm-hmm. And so we bought a beach house right on the ocean.
Wow.
I had the apartment in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And we used to hang out at the beach house. It was literally 5,000 square feet, like in a gated community. It was the only gated community for 25 years on Long Island, even including the Hamptons. Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful private sand beach. We actually owned a piece of the beach. It's in your deed when you close.
Wow.
And that house is, I never wanted to sell that house. We had babies there, and it was an amazing experience. And there's something special about being that close to the sea.
Yes.
I never slept so well. I never felt so vital.
Yeah.
And I'd be working on Wall Street, and I'd be in this city, and my family would be out the beach, and I'd be like, guys, I'm leaving. I used to get in my little Mercedes, drop the top, and I used to drive, and I felt like an urgency.
Yeah.
I swear to you, I felt like an urgency from deep inside to be back at the beach, back at the shore, back by the sea. And you had to go over a bridge. You know, there's a bay, and then just like in Florida, we have the Intracoastal on the other side, and then the ocean. We live right on the ocean.
Yeah.
So to go over the bridge, and as soon as you went over that bridge, I used to drive in a convertible. That's one of my things. In New York, you know, it's Boston's even worse. But when you have a convertible in New York, you have maybe 3 months a year. You can actually drop the top and get some sun.
Yeah. A
lot of guys, they put the heat on, and they wear jackets, and they drive with the top down, which is, you know, it's not my thing. But you know, 3-4 months a year, you take that top down, and it's like, oh my God, you feel the sun and you feel the breeze. But when you get over that bridge, I mean, the air changes.
Oh, yeah.
The air changes, and people don't realize, even in the coldest winter, you go down to the ocean. I never knew this till I lived there. When you go, you know, maybe 50 feet from the sea, doesn't have it zero out, all of a sudden it gets 50 degrees warm, 40 degrees warmer. It's an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
You know, the oceans don't freeze. You know, they give off, you know, they give off what they give off. It's an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
And so the ocean, that's where you want to be.
Yes.
That's where I'm about to be. Oh, I shouldn't say that on camera. All right, so that's the story, right? You're making your moves, South Florida, Boston. She sees the family in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I want you to check her out on Instagram. Caroline Ashley with 2 Y's. All right? She is a spectacular young woman making moves, and she's well on her way. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate you.